programmers! Today I want to talk about what to do in your C programs if you have extremely repetitive code. So for example, I have this program that is going to print out the lyrics to the song 100 Bottles of Beer on the Wall. Now this song is very, very repetitive. You say you've got 100 bottles, you've got 100 bottles, take one down, pass it around, you've got 99 bottles, and we'll repeat this pattern over and over and over until we're out of bottles. So one option is you have a main with 200 print statements. I got tired of typing them, so I stopped at 95, but if I kept going on this pattern, I could print the entire lyrics to the song. But anytime you're copying and pasting and just changing a number here, a number there, there's probably a more efficient way to do that. So let's talk about one more efficient way we could do that is what if we only have the unique lyrics and we have a variable that keeps track of what number we're at. So we're going to start at 100 and go down to 0. And anytime you're doing repetitive code over and over, a for loop or a while loop or a do while loop would be a good choice. So with the for loop, that's my favorite one. You know you're starting at 100 and you know you want to keep going while you have some bottles left. And every time you sing the song, every time you do a new lyric, you're decreasing the number of bottles by 1. So we could do something like this, and because there's more than one line in our for loop, we need some curly braces. And in place of hard coding the number of bottles we have, we're going to use our variable. So I'll put %d every place I want to use the variable num. And then on the next line, we've decreased it by 1, so I can just say num minus 1. So this, much fewer lines of code, but we can actually print the entire song, going all the way from 100 bottles to 0 bottles. And I'll see I do end with 0 bottles. Scroll up to the top, we'll see we did start with 100 bottles. So this is a much more efficient solution than 200 print statements in your main. What if we wanted to sing the song more than once in our main program? Or we wanted this song to be used in other people's mains. So instead of copying and pasting this code and saying, well, I'd like to, I'll wait a little bit and then I'll sing it again. We could, anytime you're copying and pasting code, there's a better way to do it. So in the case where you're copying and pasting blocks of code and they're happening more than one time in main, you could more efficiently handle this by putting the code that you're copying and pasting into a function. So I'm going to put this function above main, and this function is like sing song, something like that. And the entire thing that would be singing the song is part of the function. And now in main, instead of calling that, we can just call sing song. And if we want to sing it twice, we can just sing song again. And I'm going to comment that out because we've already got enough print statements going on. Instead of printing the song more than once, I'll just stick with once. So we see, yeah, we can print all the lyrics to the song, we could wait, and then sing the song again. Other people could use this function in their programs if we were to move it outside of our file and have a header file and a .c file that goes with this function. So now we've got a function that will sing all of those lyrics. There would be another way to approach this, and that's with a recursive function. So in the example where you want a function to print the lyrics, but you're only going to print one of the lyrics. So I'm going to say that the function is responsible for printing the current number of bottles of beer on the wall, and take one down, pass it around, and then whatever that number of bottles minus 1 is. And then instead of a loop, instead of a for loop or a while loop, I'm going to call the function again, only pass in bottles minus 1. So in main, we can just call that lyric and pass in 100. 100 gets copied into our bottles variable up here, and 100 is not less than or equal to 1, so we'll go into the else statement, and we're going to be printing 100 bottles of beer on the wall, 100 bottles of beer, The next print statement has bottles minus 1. So we'll say, take one down, pass it around, 99 bottles of beer on the wall. And then what's this line right here? Well, this line, we are calling the function we're inside of ourself. So anytime you see a function call itself, you have a recursive function. So instead of passing in 100, this is passing in 99. And so the whole process starts again. We've called the function, we've passed in 99, we're going to print we're in the else, so we're going to print 99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer, take one down, pass it around, 98 bottles of beer on the wall, and then we're calling ourself again, only we're passing in 98 instead of 100. And this will continue over and over and over until we get to the point where we have 1 bottle of beer on the wall. And then we'll go into the if, and the if does not have a call to lyric, so the recursion stops right there, and we're done with the song. So it's a very interesting solution where you can print the song lyrics with a recursive function. So what happens when we run this? We better verify that it works. It's always good to test our code, and we should see the same thing. We should see all of the lyrics of the song starting with 100 going all the way down to 0. Probably the most famous recursive function example you're going to run across is the factorial function. So here's an example of if I want to figure out what is the factorial of 5. Well, I called this function fact5, and I ended up passing into that function the number 5 goes into our num variable. I have a print statement just to prove that I'm calling that factorial function with 5. The number is not less than or equal to 1, so we end up returning 5 times, and then we call our factorial function and do, instead of 5, it's going to be 5 minus 1, or 4. So we see that we're calling this function inside of itself, so that's a factorial function. If you call factorial of 4, you're going to find out that that's going to be 4 times factorial of 3, and you get the idea. So any function that calls itself is a factorial function, and you'll end up calling this function 5 times to solve the problem of what is the factorial of 5. All right, hope that makes sense. Those are recursive functions.